Go and Catch a Falling Star by John Donne. Summary, analysis, and explanation. Hello and welcome to the discourse. Go and Catch a Falling Star is one of the rare poems by John Donne in which he didn't use much exaggerated hyperbole, extended metaphors, or conceit. John Donne intended it to be read and recited as a song, and that is why he titled it as Song. Unlike his other love poems, in which he has praised his beloved, comparing them with extremes, like in The Sun Rising, this song appears to be a complaint against women, as the poet says that it is impossible to find a flawless woman. Donne says that it is impossible to find a beautiful, faithful woman. He says that either all beautiful women are faithless or they are ugly and not worth considering. Structure of the poem. Song Go and Catch a Falling Star has 3 stanzas having 9 lines each. The first 6 lines make a sextet while the last 3 lines make a triplet. The rhyming scheme is consistent throughout the song and it is AB AB CC D D D. The poem has a humorous tone. The poet is annoyed by the inconstancy and faithlessness of women, but he has adjusted with that. He complains about it in a light, hilarious, and entertaining manner. John Donne didn't apply conceit in this poem, yet there is a comparison between some strange, improbable things and acts to finding an honest, beautiful woman of the poet's liking. The poet is singing this song to a female opponent, challenging her for some tasks. Go and catch a falling star, get a child, mandrake root. Tell me where all past years are. Of who cleft the devil's foot? Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to keep off envy stinging, and find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. John Donne begins the first stanza with an imperative order, go and catch a falling star. That is, go and fetch a meteorite, which obviously is an impossible task. However, Donne suggests it as if it is possible. Then he talks about the mandrake root. In some mythologies and fables, mandrake took some human attributes. In some old drawings, mandrake's root is depicted in either male or female human form. So in the second line, Donne asks to impregnate a mandrake root, have a child with it. The discussion of mandrake root continues as the mandrake plant bears flowers that turn into fruits, known as the Satan apple. Donne asks about who clefts the devil's or Satan's foot. Also, it is impossible to know about the origin of time, where the time comes from and where does it go, but Donne orders to tell him about all the past years. In the 5th line again, he continues with mythology and asks how the mermaids sing, how they can be heard. Mermaids are mythical creatures with the upper bodies of beautifully voluptuous women, but instead of legs, mermaids have fishtails. Mermaids are not real, and hence it is also an impossible task. The last task given by Donne is to keep envy away, which is again impossible because envy is a part of human nature. The poet believes that all these tasks explained above are impossible to achieve. Yet in the last 3 lines, he says that these tasks may be possible. The more difficult or impossible task is to find a beautiful, honest woman. If thou best born to strange sights, things invisible to see, write 10,000 days and nights, till age snow white hairs on thee. Thou, when thou returnest, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. In the second stanza, Donne continues to offer some seemingly impossible tasks, though they are not as extreme as those he mentioned in the first stanza. The poet says that if you have superhuman qualities, if you can see that which is invisible to normal human eyes, if you can perceive the nature beyond perceivable, then travel to the far places of the universe for 10,000 days and nights. And after returning, when you will grow snow white hairs, as you will be aged, you must come to me and inform me about all the strange things and new worlds that you explored. Donne uses thou, which means you, in repetition in the 14th line, as if he is teasing his female opponent. The poet believes that women are not faithful and lack constancy. Thus, he doubts his listener, the female opponent, being a woman, will make her promise and return to tell him all the wonders she is expected to explore. He further says that even if she returns and reports to him, she will swear and inform him that there is no place where there lives a beautiful woman who is true and trustworthy. Donne uses fair with true. What he means is that a woman who is not very beautiful can be true and trustworthy, but it is impossible to find a beautiful, faithful woman. In this stanza, John Donne is parodying the poetic theme of eternal love. He says that eternity is possible, eternal love is not, because there is no true, trustworthy, beautiful woman. At face value, this poem appears a teasing love song, but in deep, John Donne is actually depicting and supporting the age of exploration. He is not only singing for the female opponent of his song, but for the sea voyagers and explorers too. If thou find'st one, let me know, such a pilgrimage were sweet. Yet do not, I would not go, though at next door we might meet. Though she were true when you met her, and last, till you write your letter, yet she will be false ere I come to 2 or 3. In the third stanza, Donne continues to support his belief that there is no trustworthy beautiful woman. Yet he appears convinced that his opponent may find a place where lives a true and beautiful woman during her exploration. She may inform him about that woman on her return, and he will consider it as pilgrimage, because if there is such a place where lives a woman who is beautiful and truly honest, then to visit such a place is no less important than a pilgrimage. However, Donne says that while he will believe his opponent's report of a beautiful true woman, but he will not go there to visit and meet such a beautiful trustworthy woman. He gives his reason for opting not to visit and meet such a lady. He says that even if the opponent offers him the true report, even if she actually found a beautiful woman who is trustworthy, it will take time for her to return back. During that time, because of the inconstancy of women, that true lady will also fall to corruption and deceit. The poet says that he will deny visiting such a supposedly trustworthy woman because a woman may sell her honesty and become dishonest by the time he reaches her. This poem is different from other noteworthy love poems by John Donne. He appears to be a misogynist here. Yet he berates the dishonesty of women in such a beguiling manner that his complaint also appears endearing. John Donne hasn't used conceit in this poem, but he managed to provide some enthralling comparisons. His choice of words and use of fables, mythologies, and the current happenings of his time fills this poem with knowledge. He mentions the exploration age of the Elizabethan era, when sea voyagers were trying to find new routes to the Americas and East India for the hunt for gold and spices. This poem becomes immortal because exploration never ceases. During the 16th century, people were celebrating the discovery of the New World. Today, people are excited and enthusiastic about space exploration, and it will continue. So, this is it for today. We have discussed the summary of song Go Catch a Falling Star with a proper and full explanation. We will continue to cherish a few more marvelous poems by John Donne. Please stay connected with the discourse. Thanks and regards.